your talk of Chris, there's a little bit of a control thing that comes up where you're like, I need to, like, there's a way in which he's a project, like a bit.
Yeah.
And, and one is that's agreeing with the internal voice in his head that he needs to be improved instead of being who he is.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You're listening to Be Well by Kelly Levesque. Welcome back to the Be Well by Kelly podcast. In today's episode, I welcome Joe Hudson onto the podcast and into my home for what will be the most vulnerable episode I've probably ever taped. Joe Hudson is the coach behind Silicon Valley's unicorn CEOs. He is one of the most sought-after teachers to world's top leaders at OpenAI, Apple, Alphabet, and more. With a background in venture capital and over 25 years of studying disciplines across psychology, neuroscience, and contemplative traditions, Joe has developed a radically different approach to personal growth and lasting self-transformation. His methodology moves beyond traditional self-improvement, fundamentally rewiring how individuals relate to themselves, dissolving internal barriers, and unlocking high performance from a place of ease and joy. This one was one of my favorites. Let's welcome Joe to the show. My new amino acid supplements come in flavorless and lemon water, and they're flying off the shelves, and here's why. I have meticulously sourced these vegan fermented essential amino acids from Japan. I am so proud of this being made the Be Well way, with maximum quality and minimum ingredients. My flavorless is simply those vegan fermented essential amino acids from Japan. Our lemon water contains minimal ingredients of only organic lemon powder, organic citric acid, and organic monk fruit. No natural flavors, no artificial flavors, no artificial sweeteners, no emulsifiers, no additives. This is simply that nutrition targeted for your goals. If you want to give my Be Well protein or aminos a try, or restock it if you're already loving it, take advantage of my gift for podcast listeners. Code PODCAST10 is going to get you $10 off just for being a listener. Write it down and shop with me after you listen. Joe Hudson, you are in my kitchen. I can't even believe it. Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure to be here.
I feel like I have a little pull because I'm like a family of all girls, and you have a daughter and you have 2 daughters, and you're like, you know, a girl dad.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
oh my goodness,
come on down and help me out. And I'm like, I'll make you a smoothie, get you to stay.
Yeah, I will stay.
Okay.
Food will get me every time.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Being a girl dad is, I mean, I can get teary just thinking about what a
Are we just going to go there
pleasure,
right now?
Yeah. Pleasure it is to,
Your girls are really lucky.
They're
You're a very
amazing.
sensitive, open, present dad. And that is, I think, rare.
They made me far more present, open, and emotionally available than I was before. I mean, my wife, you know, with a little bit of a sledgehammer from my wife, too.
We're like, hey, read this book, do this thing, get down on your knees, give him a big hug. Tell him how much you love him. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Well, that was one of the episodes, you and your daughter, on your podcast that I was like, oh, he's the CEO, like business life coach guru for all these like silicone tech CEOs. And then I listened to you and your daughter and I was like, yeah, I really like this guy. And that was, I feel like your parenting was like a portal into your coaching and your leadership with these unicorn CEOs that you work with in Silicon Valley and these billionaires that you coach. It's been amazing to just like witness. So first I want to just congratulate you on your relationship with your daughter. That seems like so very authentic and connected.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, what's really nice about having my daughters is that they take the piss out of me, and to speak Irish. They take the piss out of me on a regular basis. And it's so nice to be somewhere where I'm not like the coach. Yeah. Where I just have, you know, my daughters giving me
banter,
crap and giving
teasing.
Me crap. And and you know, occasionally they'll come home and they'll say something like, "Oh, I feel so fortunate that this is our family." Or my oldest daughter just came back from college, and for her first year of college, and we just met at the airport. We're all crying because it's just like, oh, we're back together again. It felt like I was missing an arm, and it's just, it's a weird thing because in my business, I get to transform lots of lives. I was just doing a retreat and 120 people, and I got to see, these are old students, so I got to see like their faces change over the years, and to know that I would give all of that up in a heartbeat for either one of my daughters is just like such a weird and amazing feeling.
Well, I think you're living with the realization that a lot of people only have on their deathbed. Like I feel like you're.
That makes me sad.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, like so many people are missing their life and missing building like the strongest, closest relationships with the people that they love, like that they. I mean, this as a dad, like you never know how much you're going to love your child until you hold them and they're here and you're like, oh my God, what a pure, unjudgmental, like love that it comes with, like, I have like this ferocious need to like protect them but also want them to be their own little person with their own little opinions and like to know that opinion is right. And I'm like, I feel like you've done it right. And I'm just like, how do I learn from you, how to build that relationship? Because that's ultimately like, none of this stuff matter. I mean, not to say that it doesn't matter, but like,
it doesn't matter.
This podcast, the business, my clients, like, if I feel like none of it even compares to if I feel like I've responded to my child in the wrong way or snapped or been short with them or not been present with them and been distracted by all these other things. Like nothing makes you feel worse.
Yeah.
So can you talk to me a little bit about your parenting and relationship styles at home?
Yeah.
And then we can bleed out into why the world knows you as Joe Hudson, the like famous guru.
Yeah. So the first thing that I'd say so my daughter and I, she was a junior in high school. This is the one who just finished her first year in college. Her name's Esme, and she was with a boyfriend. It was like her first serious boyfriend, and she was having some sort of dilemma. And I looked at her, and she's explaining it. I'm like, oh, babe, that's nothing to do with you. That's me. Like, I taught you that. But by the way that I parented you in the early years, I fucked up. Yeah. Like, I wasn't emotionally available. And so that's what's actually happening. And she looked at me. I looked at her. We cried for a bit. And then that pattern in her relationship just died. She just stopped it. And I remember thinking, it wasn't a thought that was particularly serious, but it came across my head and it went, oh, I wish I would have fucked up more so I could have had more of these moments. And so I say that just because when you're in the young years and you're thinking, oh, I fucked them up, you are going to fuck them up in some ways, but every one of those is an opportunity to like heal with them and to show them how to get back to themselves and to be vulnerable. So every one of those mess ups becomes an opportunity later in life. So, and with that, hopefully you, like, as a parent, I would have liked to have known that back then because I could have relaxed a bit instead of being so hard about it on myself. And in being hard about it with myself, that's probably where most of the mistakes came from, was that trying to be perfect about it. And so that's the first thing I would say about that. The second thing I would say is with my daughters, there's age-appropriate parenting. And, for the first 8 years, they're just on your vibes. I see parents sit down and say, okay, well, you should do this, and try to logic it out. Neurologically speaking, their logical mind is not on. They're not
online.
Yeah. Right, but it works sometimes because you're calm and so they're just moving off your vibe. So I think to something, what kids really want more than anything, particularly their whole life, but particularly in those first 8 years, is connection, is a deep level of connection. And so that means going down the rabbit hole with them, playing Legos or tea or whatever that means, like being in their world. And it's also mostly it's about allowing them to feel connected to their emotions. And this is where I see, and this is Patty Whiffler's work. This is a book called Listen, an organization called Hand in Hand Parenting, changed my life. One of the most powerful spiritual practices of my life was parenting that way. And then the results for the kids are amazing.
Speaks for themselves.
Yeah. And the general, there's 5 rules to that. But the most important one is when they're having an emotional experience, allow them to have the emotional experience. Let them have their big emotions and they'll get back into connection. Mm-hmm. So we would allow our kids to have big emotional movements. Mm-hmm. And then so they never learned that any part of them was wrong. Mm-hmm. So to say, hey, Johnny, stop crying, that's telling them that their sadness is wrong. Johnny, settle down, that's telling them that their excitement is wrong. Yeah. Which ends up translating in their mind that they have to stop this emotional experience that they're having and that they have to control it, mm-hmm. which has a whole bunch of emotional, physiological downside to it, interaction for the rest of their life. And you can literally see the way a kid holds themselves, which emotions they're not being allowed to have in their home. And so for me, it was about allowing them to have those big emotional experiences. And my favorite story about this is I'm at Whole Foods. I live in a somewhat hippie town. It was more hippie then. And my eldest daughter wanted something on the shelves, mm-hmm. and the classic. And I was like, yeah, sweetheart, we're not going to do that. And she starts throwing a fit. Mm-hmm. And so I'm on the aisle of Whole Foods. She's like having a tear, screaming and yelling. And I'm like, all right,
sweating.
I'm right here. I'm like a little self-conscious.
Yeah.
And this old hippie woman comes by. She's like, are you okay, dear? Wanting her to stop. And my daughter, 3, something like that, looks up and goes, I'm just having my emotions. Yeah. And then just goes right back into it. Yes. And it was like this amazing, and they would have these big arcs of emotion, and then they would come right back to connection and were fantastic. But and I learned this from my wife to do this, if I was controlling their emotions, then it would just be this little in the system until they could have that emotion out. Yeah.
It's interesting because I'm sure you've seen that manifest in adulthood.
Oh, yeah.
And you see people who haven't been allowed to feel their feelings for their whole life. Like, yeah. How does that show up? And also, how does it show up in our parenting? Because you obviously it's uncomfortable when your child is having a meltdown.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a little bit more tolerance for it than my husband.
Yeah.
And Chris he was the best little student, right, and like never a problem and always, doing everything right. Yeah. And I think to an extent, the first of 3 daughters, like I also was that way. Like I was like playing to the crowd, and like, what were my parents feeling happy about this? Were they proud of me?
Yeah.
And so you kind of dampen that, like, but how does that manifest in your adulthood, in your career, in your relationships, and your ability to like parent your children?
Yeah. So physiologically speaking, like let's do a little bit of science and then bring it into the moment, and then we'll talk about the effects in life. So physiologically speaking, it's just really detrimental to your whole system. The physiological responses of not feeling your emotions is pretty significant. And I could go into the deep science about that, but instead it's just easier to do this, which is try to stop feeling everything right now. Right? That's stress. Mm-hmm. Your body has to constrict. Your muscles have to tighten. Mm-hmm. It's like it is stress. Mm-hmm. And so it has all the negative effects that stress has. If I'm in an airplane and a kid starts crying and I'm at the front of the airplane, I can get up, look back in the airplane. I can tell you who wasn't allowed to cry as a kid by how upset they are by the tears of the child. Mm-hmm. So the reason that the practice with my children was so emotionally, like it was such a huge practice for me, was because every emotion that I wasn't allowed to have, I needed to sit in loving attention of them having it. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I had to go off and rage or whatever I had to do, cry, so that I could get to a place where I could sit in loving attention of their temper tantrum or their tears or their fear or whatever it was. And so that's why it was such a profound practice because it healed where I wasn't allowed to. And I was like deeply not allowed to cry. Like they used to take pictures of me when I was crying, put it in the photo album, play pity parties, the whole thing. And my story was that I was like, I haven't cried in 14 years. When I saw this picture in the family album, I was like, that's probably why.
Yeah.
And so I put it on my desk and I was like, I'm going to learn how to cry. And a year and a half later, I still hadn't cried. So I lived in Los Angeles at the time, and I would drive up to, this was before the kids, but I would drive up to like Angeles Crest National Forest, and then I'd hike into this place, and then I'd hike off trail, and I would fake cry because I was so ashamed of crying, and I needed a place that I felt safe, but I didn't know how to do it, so I just faked it. And then 3 or 4 months of doing that, finally real tears broke through, and I literally cried for like 4 days straight. I could stop if I wanted to, but I didn't want to, and I just got years of tears out of my system.
Wow.
So I could have that freedom and not be holding that stress.
Hey everyone, I'm excited to share a supplement that's become a cornerstone in my wellness routine, AG1. With just one scoop, I'm giving my body everything it needs to thrive: vitamins, minerals, prebiotics, probiotics, adaptogens, and more. And now AG1 has leveled up even more with their new AG1 Next Gen. This upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase healthy gut bacteria by 10x, all for the same price, less than $3 a day. It's the same easy scoop that I've loved for years, but now with even more clinically backed research. With added nutrients to support gut health, immune function, energy, and more, it's optimized for better absorption and impact. I mix it with water every morning, and honestly, it's one of the best green powders I've ever tried. No weird aftertaste or chalky texture. All the essential nutrients I need just to feel my best. Now, I've been drinking AG1 for over 6 years now, and I'm happy to be partnering with them to share this upgrade with you that's been clinically backed with the advanced formula. This is the perfect time to try AG1 if you haven't. So subscribe today and try the Next Gen AG1. If you use my link, you're going to get a free bottle of D3K2 and AG1's welcome kit, plus 5 upgraded AG1 travel packs for your first order. So make sure you check out at drinkag1.com/be well to get started with AG1's Next Gen and notice all the benefits for yourself. That's drinkag1.com/be well. I am so excited to share with you guys an incredible scientific breakthrough to support our long-term health and wellness. Meet Fatty 15, powered by C15, the world's first essential fatty acid discovered in over 90 years. Scientists are calling it the longevity nutrient, and for good reason. Fatty 15 was founded by Dr. Stephanie Van Watson, who uncovered C15 while studying aging dolphins. Her research revealed something incredible. C15 works by strengthening our cells, improving our mitochondrial function, and protecting us against damaging free radicals. The result? Better long-term metabolic, liver, and heart health. Fatty 15 is powered by pure vegan-friendly form of C15 and an odd-chain saturated fatty acid that's more stable than most polyunsaturated fats. That means it resists oxidation, staying potent in the bottle and in your body. It turns out that many of us are deficient in C15, which results in weaker cells that make less energy and quit working earlier than they should. All of that makes us age faster, sleep poorly, and feel sluggish. But by replenishing our cells with that essential C15 nutrient, the only ingredient in Fatty 15 effectively repairs our cells and restores our long-term health. Plus, it comes with a gorgeous reusable glass jar and refill capsules shipped quarterly right to your door. Fatty 15 is on a mission to replenish your C15 levels and restore your long-term health. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Kelly15 and using the code Kelly15 at checkout.
How many times are the people that you're working with like not in contact with their emotions, not feeling their feelings, and like not being like vulnerable?
It's incredibly rare to find anybody who isn't. There are levels to this.
Okay.
But we just did a 120-person retreat in Carmel, and you can see the change of the faces of everybody in it because their emotional holding has changed through the experience.
Yeah.
So there are some things women have more access to, in upper middle class white culture. Women have more access to the tears. Men have more access to the anger.
Mm-hmm.
And So oftentimes one of those is the first, and then access to fear. Very few people have access to fear. Most people are living with chronic anxiety because they don't actually allow the fear and helplessness to move through their system. And then after that, there's elation and joy and excitement and empowered, like the feeling of being empowered. And those things are actually later stage allowing things. Like you can't really
have to feel the fear first.
You have to feel what we call negative. It ends up not being negative at all, but what we call negative, you have to feel those first, and then you move into the excitement. And the way I think about it is, someone says, "Well, what do you mean feel anger?" And so think about anger as a tube, like a tube moving through an energy. And this is something that's expressed in the Tibetan work and in traditional Chinese medicine. And so this is the energy of anger. And you kink it this way, and it's nice dress. And you kink it this way, and it's you, mom, blah, 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 blah. If it's not kinked, it's Gandhi, it's Martin Luther King. It's a clarity and a very clear boundary. And that's what, it's very loving. You don't get angry over things you don't care about.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a deep care to get to that level of anger. So it's allowing the care with the anger is the unkinked version of it.
I feel like that's so profound, because it changes my vision of, or like my view of anger. Like now if the people in my world are upset about something, if I can reframe that as like, that's a deep caring for that thing, but it's not the best manifestation of how they should behave, or is it how they should behave? Like, do you know what I mean? Because anger feels scary to kids, or anger feels heavy when it's a work relationship, or, like that's a big emotion to feel.
Anger typically doesn't feel heavy unless directed at you.
Okay.
So if you say to your kids, "Oh, I see you're angry. Let's go get angry."
Yeah.
And you go and pound a bed together.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah.
Yeah,
literally.
Totally. I mean, boys. Yeah. They're like, let's go.
Yeah. We were literally at this retreat that we were just at. We were in a place where there's other people, which is typically not what we do, but we couldn't fit 120 people. And there was a mom that walked by. We had one of the women was staying out of the emotional work because she was pregnant.
Okay.
And I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
I was glad she was taking care of herself. But this mom comes by with her 2-year-old. Yeah. And there's huge anger going on in the room next door. And she's like, "What's going on?" Yeah. "Oh, they're just releasing some anger." And this 3-year-old kid's like, "We could use that." Knew it right away.
Yeah.
So the anger at somebody is very different than if it's just anger. And so that's something, even that shows the fear. So when our mind is in a state of fear, we start binary thinking. So it's either do this or do that, buy the car, don't buy the car. It's not, there's 500 different cars I could buy a used one, I could buy different colors, I could buy a different model. It's all sorts of different options that don't come out when fear is there, because fear is binary thinking. And so most of us are so scared of anger that the binary is either have anger or don't have anger. It's not have anger out in the woods, or have anger in the car when you're parked where no one can see you, or have your kids come into the room and everybody get angry together.
Yeah.
And so typically that's the way it works in anger, is that if it's actually moved without attacking somebody, without the person who you're angry at, then the anger dissipates very quickly and you get right back to connection. And then you show up into the thing. But what happens is that there are the people that are angry, who have that tendency to angry. I was definitely one of those. And for them, it's an act of vulnerability. And what is actually happening is, I feel all alone and nobody here is going to help me. Yeah. And then the person across from me gets scared and leaves. And I'm like, see? Yeah. I proved this. And I remember when my wife, we were learning this together, and my wife looked at me. I was like, "I'm angry." She was like, "I'm so glad you're angry." Yeah. And I went, my whole system relaxed because I could be met. Like the whole anger dissipated because I could be met.
Because no one's running and they're holding your space for you.
I'm being held in my anger, because for me, my anger wasn't a vulnerability. That doesn't mean you should accept abuse. So I'm not.
No. But it's just, I think, I'm just thinking about the family system that Chris and I are creating and building, and like, to think, oh yeah, we're evolved and we're like reading the books and doing the things. And it's like, no, we're not like actually holding space for the feelings, like in all the feelings. Like I've heard like, let your kid cry. And thank goodness for like the teachings, because I can go sit on the ground and be like, he's just going to cry. He's going to be really upset. Like this morning, it just happened this morning. Like my middle son really loves these baseball socks, and my oldest son, we have a sock box in the mudroom, and they pull the socks out that they want. And my oldest Sebastian put on the baseball socks, and he put on his shoes. And my 4-year-old was like crying, just losing it. And Chris kept like coming into the mudroom and like being frustrated and walking away. And like it was a long tantrum about the socks. And I was like trying to solution, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, okay. And he's like, and because we've used the verbiage from Listen and we're like learning the process, he's like, I'm just feeling my emotions, I need to get all my crying out. And, Chris is like, how long is it going to take? Your mom has to get ready for a podcast. I have to get your brother to school. It's like not a school day. He's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday kid. It's not a school day for him. He's like going to the park. I'm like, the baseball socks are just like the basketball socks. It came in a pack. They just have basketballs instead of tears, And it's like I know that I need even more tolerance than I'm willing to give. And it's like knowing that, okay, I'm working on that. Like we let him cry. It was like 5-6 minutes of crying,
Oh.
And I'm like, now do I distract? Let's play Legos. Like, I'm like, how do I get him out of this? But in reality, it's like, it was going to last as long as it was going to last. And the more I resisted, the longer it was going. And I was resistant because I had the team coming to set up. We're first time filming in my kitchen versus at the Pendry. It was like all of these added little things that were making me nervous about my day. And he was like, I'm just going to dismantle this whole situation for you about the socks, And it's to hear people tell you, like, let your child cry and release those emotions. Like I want my child to feel all of them, all 3 of them, even Chris. Like I want them to be able to cry on a drop of a hat, because I know how good it feels when I cry. Sometimes Chris is like, oh, but he knows I'm a totally different person on the other side of it.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever allowed anger or like the frustration. I'll name it. I'm like, you seem really frustrated. Like I'd be frustrated, but it's when the rage and anger comes out that I don't know that maybe it wasn't allowed in my house, or it was like part of but I don't think I'm allowing it as much as I should.
Yeah.
And I do get a little bit nervous. We were talking before the show, like I have to live in a very like decision-making, go get 'em driver, testosterone driven kind of like that has kind of become my role. And I worry that I don't feel my feelings in the way that I used to feel them. Like where, like running into kindergarten moms and they're like, I can't believe they're graduating in 2 weeks, and they're like a blubbering mess. And I'm like, I know, I can't believe it. And I'm like, why am I not crying? Like the old me would have been bawling. Am I not connected to this? Am I not feeling it? Am I in a state of like stress or worry or fear? Like why am I stuck not feeling where I want like the ecstasy of being like, this is so sad to let him go to be a grader, but also like, it's so beautiful that he made it this far and he's like doing so well. Like Sebastian had a horrible birth. They told me he was going to would have full cerebral palsy diagnosis, be in a wheelchair his whole life, like not be able to feed himself. Like I have a hysterical, present, flexible, active, so active.
I wish he would have cried long enough for me to come in and meet him, because that would have been awesome.
I mean, it's just like I want to feel my feelings as deep as I did the day he was born and the months after, knowing that he was okay. Like and sometimes I'm like, why am I not feeling those feelings? Like, what do people do?
Yeah.
Why do we shut down our vulnerability? Why do we shut out our feelings? And how does that? I mean, I feel like it numbs you. I feel like you're living life underwater when you're.
Yeah. So a couple things about the story. I often notice that the kids will do moments like that when there's tension in the house. So if you're getting ready and this is the first time you're shooting in here, they're vibing off of you. And so they, and he's like, this family system needs to relieve stress. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll cry for everybody.
Yeah, I'll cry for everybody.
I know. And I'm like, me too, bud. I really want today's podcast to go so good. I really like this guy.
That's what I would do. That's what I learned how to do. That's not in the.
So let me just let it leak right now. It's gonna be okay, right, Jill?
Yeah. And I would be like, oh, this is the family. You're doing this for the family. Let me join you. Let me make it so that you don't have to hold that all alone.
Oh, he's literally my spirit animal.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I want you to wear those socks too, but I'm not going to take them off your brother's feet. Because that's like not letting him have his thing.
Exactly. Oh. Right. He would have found something else. If it wasn't the socks, it would have been, I don't want to go to school. If it wasn't, I don't want to go to school, it would be, I don't want to get in the car. But there would have been some way where he was seeing, oh, this system needs to really
Yeah, he popped the lid. That little teapot screamed.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we all went, okay, the socks are a way bigger deal than any of this anyways.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's that. The other thing is you're talking about the tension and you holding the financial responsibility and everything like that, and how that's preventing you from getting into like the emotional state. And so on that one, I would say, so the way humans seem to work is when they get stressed, they compartmentalize their emotions.
Okay.
However, emotions are one of the main reasons that we're stressed. So typically when we have stress going on, the way that our minds make it sound is, oh, it's because I have too many things to do. There's a hole in my ceiling. Yeah. There's leaky faucet, whatever. And oh my gosh, I'm stressed. But typically there's three main core reasons that you're stressed. The first one is the way that you're talking to yourself. So negative self-talk is it's like our brains read it as an attack. You should do this. Why aren't you doing this? How haven't you? Blah, 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 blah. So the self-talk is one of the main reasons. And most people in self-help are saying, get better. How do you improve yourself? Which is all,
you're not good enough.
Yeah, it's all, you're not good enough. And it's all deeply stressful. And that stress increases cortisol. Cortisol makes it slower to learn. So, and our minds tell ourselves, oh, if I'm not hard on myself, I'm just going to sit back and drink beer all the time. But you think about your kids, 0 to 8 years old, they don't even have a voice in their head yet. And they're maturing and evolving quicker than you and I ever will in 8 years. Mm-hmm. And so, and every CEO that I've ever worked with, when their self-talk has come down, and we measure this in one of our programs, and we can, on average, bring it down by a standard deviation, their productivity goes way up. So that's because they're less stressed. Mm-hmm. So that's one. Second one is emotional containment. So that thing that we just did where stop feeling, that is physically stress. Mm-hmm. And so not feeling increases the stress more and more and more and more. And most people say emotional management. And for us, it's emotional fluidity. It's how do you feel all of your emotions without being taken away by them, but how do you allow all of them to move? Mm-hmm. And then the final one is connection. You have plenty of connection in your life, but there's a lot of people who don't have that level of connection. Mm-hmm. And without that connection, we become very stressed. And the longest study that Harvard ever did, and I think that longest study in the United States, where they just tracked young men over years, and like I think JFK was part of it or something, but they basically said long life, less stressed, best happy, most happy. All of that is determined by connection, by how much connection that we have. And so we think that the stress is everything that we have to do, but it's those three things. And if you work on those three things, the stress starts coming down. You don't worry about having to keep it together or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And your kids are providing you this like beautiful place to at least deal with one of them,
right?
If not all three. And so every time they're crying, it's like, oh, there's my emotion that I'm not letting out. If it's bugging me, let's go. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
And you have that moment, you take that space the same way you would take space for exercise or making your shake. And then on the other side of that is less and less stress through the day.
This episode is sponsored by Vuori, my absolute go-to for activewear, loungewear, and effortlessly combined comfort, style, and performance. Whether I'm working from home or working out, Vuori has me covered. Now let me share a few of my current favorites right now. Right now, I'm living in my Vuori Performance joggers, my long sleeve Halo crew neck, my Halo Performance top, and these pieces are perfect for lounging and being able to go to a quick errand or school drop-off. The Halo Performance Jogger is my everyday essential. The fabric is incredibly soft. Seriously, it feels like butter on your skin, and they're part of Vuori's Dream Knit collection, which means they're made with ultra soft, lightweight fabric with relaxed fit, 4-way stretch, moisture wicking properties. They're perfect for everything from low impact workouts to just chasing my boys around the house. So paired with the Halo top and the long sleeve Halo crew neck, I've got the perfect combo for comfort and style that I can wear all day long. And here's the best part. Vuori is offering a special deal for my listeners. Get 20% off your purchase. So go to vuori.com/Kelly to snag this deal, experience the comfort, and let me know what you think. Did you know that most fast food French fries have 19 ingredients? 19 ingredients. Like, what are those ingredients? And it's not just fast food. Even store-bought fries are often fried in seed oils. And as a nutritionist and a mom, I try to avoid seed oils. But let's be real, saying no to my boys when they want fries out, it's pretty tough. So I'm beyond excited to say yes to a fry that I can feel good about, and I want you to know all about them. I want you to meet Jesse and Ben's. I've always been on the lookout for brands innovating in the wellness space, and I've been hunting for those classic fries that check all my boxes. No seed oils, no sneaky ingredients, and most importantly, I want them to be really delicious. Jesse and Ben's fries are the perfect solution for busy families like mine. They make mealtime so much easier. And with Jesse and Ben's, I know I'm serving up fries made with non-GMO russet potatoes, 100% grass-fed beef tallow, and sea salt. That's it. 3 ingredients, not 19. And I've been obsessed with their tallow and sea salt fries since I tried them. They're crisp and flavorful, totally kid approved. Plus, they're seed oil free and you can feel good about every bite. So here's the big news. Jesse and Ben's just launched nationwide at every Whole Foods market across the country. And to celebrate, they're offering my listeners an exclusive buy one, get one deal at Whole Foods. That's right. Buy 2 bags of Jesse and Ben's at Whole Foods and get one of them for free. Just go to jesseandbens.com/bewell to redeem this exclusive BOGO deal. They've been selling out at stores all over the country, so just make sure you redeem this offer and stock up before they're gone. Again, go to jesseandbens.com/bewell to get this exclusive deal. Trust me, you are going to love these fries.
It's interesting because when I look back on just a time in my life where I felt like the least stressed and the most excited, fluid, really like my life was really changing was when Chris and I like first met. He gave me like this container, which felt like the most pure, and it still does. And it's like we have children and life is happening, but the most like pure container of I could do no wrong, like love that I like probably need to tell him this or make him listen to this. It's just like my whole business was built on whatever I lacked in my own self-worth, or he like helped me see my worth and my abilities and my potential. Really like in a way that I felt that container in my house. My parents, I'm really grateful for the family system I grew up in, and I'll bet there are flaws, I'm sure, and looking at the way that people parent now and how things have changed and what was allowed or not allowed or all of those things and layers. But it was enough connection, a container to feel my feelings and love that for some reason, I think when I got into adolescence, I had that base layer, but you have these fears or like lack of self-worth or I don't know, maybe like you just, I think maybe I work better in a in a connected family type of unit. And so when Chris and I were building our little family, the two of us, I felt like I was limitless. Like I felt like, yeah, I'm going to start this other business. I'm going to go back to school. I'm in a, like sky's the limit. Anything I think will manifest.
Yeah.
And that was like in a state where I had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I didn't have children. I didn't have a mortgage. I didn't have a house. I didn't have, I hadn't built a life. I was living in a rent-controlled apartment with one Toyota Tacoma from my dad's tow yard that was given to Chris and I when he quit the law firm and wanted to write movies. And we were just like dreamers dreaming big,
Yeah.
And it's amazing how much in flow you can be when you don't have, or when you just feel that way. Yeah. And I thought it was because I didn't have to pay bills or like didn't have to do those things. But I think it was just the way we looked after each other when we didn't have all these other things to look after or humans to look after, when we really were so deeply connected and checking in on each other.
So my question to you would be, I'm sure Chris is a great guy who loved you incredibly well, but I'm also sure it pales in comparison to the way that your boys believe in you.
Yeah.
So my question would be, what makes it that you don't feel that from you? Like, how did your boys become an obligation instead of a
container of limitless?
3 people
believing in me?
Believing in you without question.
Yeah. I think this is maybe it's a fear that I don't feel. Like, I think almost like it's too good to be true.
Right.
Like it just feels like, oh.
Yeah.
Woo, I knew this was going to happen. Like, I'm like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Yeah. I'm just like, I don't deserve this. Like, yeah. Like, I know I worked really hard. I know I sacrificed. I know there was like so much like grit and resilience in the early years. Like, yeah. But I think it's like, what's come back to me, like, there are moms that like had the same birth as I had with Sebastian and like didn't have the same outcome. Like, there are people who have this role reversal of like what is traditional here that have had like relationships fall apart. And like, I'm sitting here like married to my best friend with 3 healthy children. And I got to build, I got to build a house. And I'm like, I'm so afraid that something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, it is. There's no way you're living your life without something bad happening.
I know. And I think, Chris really, I think for men too, it's like they provide and protect.
And it's not going to hurt less when it does because you're doing this.
I know. I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I just throw myself into like the to-do list and I don't feel.
And my guess is the feeling you're not feeling is actually excitement.
Yeah, I definitely have lost that a little bit because I'm scared.
Yeah. What I'm saying is I think you're repressing your excitement, so it's coming out as anxiety.
Okay.
So I'm saying something a little bit different. Yeah. So like take the thing that you don't have to keep this on the camera if you don't want to.
No,
Okay,
I'm really open actually.
Okay.
I'm like, cool. I think it's hard for me to be open on Instagram and stories, looking at myself on the camera, you know? And that's kind of like why I love the podcast.
Nice.
Is because like, I don't go back and watch it or listen to it and I don't really care, Great. Like I don't.
Me too.
If people are going to give me a 1-star for, or like, I don't know, like I just am like, this feels good for me to be a megaphone for people who help people.
Yeah.
And I get the most out of it. Like I love to learn and I love to grow and
then let's do it.
Okay.
So oftentimes when we're anxious, there's just a repressed excitement. So there's two kinds of fear. One kind of fear is like, oh my God, I'm going to die. One kind of fear is I'm walking into a bigger room, speaking on a bigger stage, asking to take a bigger space. And I love the thing. I think it's the Jewish word for humility is taking your God-given space.
Okay.
So it is an act of humility to actually step into that.
Yeah.
You can feel, I felt that in your yeah.
Yeah. I have like a big goal.
Yeah.
And I have a big thing I want to do.
You're already doing a big thing.
I know, but I just like.
Even that is a way not to feel the big thing that's happening right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're having a positive influence on hundreds of thousands of people. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing. Mm-hmm. That's like a dream coming true that you never probably ever thought was possible. Mm-mm. So what is it just to say? So think of the thing you're most anxious about. What's some of the thing you're most anxious about right now? I saw that little smirk.
Well, a couple things come up. Like I think the anxiety is like I'm with my family is like I'm missing it.
Cool. All right. So just think about that. And then it's an odd little hack. It works 80% of the time. Okay. Just say, I'm excited 10 times, but feel the excitement.
I'm excited. 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 I'm not counting. I'm excited.
Great. And now how do you feel about your family?
I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of our anxiety, especially the anxiety that is stepping into the bigger room, is just excitement that we're not allowing ourselves to feel. Because if you really allow a feeling of excitement, there's less of you. Your identity starts to crack.
Okay.
Like the identity becomes more spacious, less something that has to be defended. So it's like, whew.
Can you explain, is that because I'm like, when I'm saying I'm excited about my family, I'm going to be more connected to other people and less just me? Or is it like, what's happening that?
Yeah. Neurologically, from what I understand.
Just took a deep breath. No. Now I need some water.
Take your time. Yeah. Neurologically speaking, those two things are wired very closely to each other. And so just the way I was saying anger when it's kinked one way, kinked another way, excitement when it's kinked can be anxiety. And so unkinking it is just like actually allowing yourself to feel the anxiety and the excitement without any hesitation, without any holding on.
What if?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that's happening. But the other thing that's happening is, so somewhere in our systems, if you got excited as a kid, it was calm down. Right. And you know what it's like as a parent, your kids get super excited. You're like, oh, I just need to calm down. And so that's where it was trained in all of us, almost all of us, like, oh, hey, settle.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's that. It usually happens between the ages of 0 and 8. So that's when we're trained because of theta waves, like brain waves. That's when we're trained. But there's also just and then our brains are really cool in the fact, like our intellectual brains will tell us we can't be excited because the other foot's going to fall.
Yeah.
Right. It tells us we can't be sad because it's going to last forever. You can't get angry because you'll destroy what you love. You can't be scared because you'll be less capable. But in reality, the crying actually makes you feel better. It doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
Anger actually provides clarity. It doesn't destroy things unless you get angry at people. Mm-hmm. And feeling fear actually makes us more capable.
Yeah.
Like, so Navy SEALs, if they're under attack, their whole thing is breathe deep, feel your body's sensation, like be in and present with the fear. That actually makes you more capable. And so what we're doing is we're saying, I don't want to feel anxious. I don't want to feel fear. Push it away, which makes us less capable and less capable and less capable. Whereas if you're like, oh, hey, anxiety, fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't wait to feel more anxiety. Yeah. This is an amazing thing. Like, it's here to teach me the excitement that I'm not feeling. It's here to teach me the boundaries that I'm not drawing. Typically, if you're anxious, there's a way that you're not taking care of yourself, and there's a way in which you're not feeling excitement. And so every time you're anxious, it's a direct signal to that information, and it's like awesome.
It's such a paradigm shift to be able to like redirect and say like, what am I not feeling? What was I not allowed to feel? I think you just touched on it, was like people are afraid to feel sadness because they feel like it's never going to go away.
Yeah.
Which, Chris and I joke, he's like, I don't feel sadness. He's been through a lot. Like, we lost his dad and he was like just the most amazing man. And his mom had an aneurysm and was in a coma for a month and learned how to, she was very healthy prior. And like, it was on the golf course and she learned how to walk and talk and she's like fully functioning on her own in her own little house and where, like has community and us and her, old neighbors and friends. But he's been through a lot and he is just like, yeah, I don't feel sadness. Like, I think it's afraid that like, and I think a lot of people are afraid, I think, but all these emotions that are pent up and people are like, well, I'll just go take psilocybin for a whole day so I can feel all my feelings.
Yeah.
Tell me everything that I'm feeling and know everything. And then I'll just integrate it. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've seen people's like whole families like totally unravel. I've seen people like take their business to like the next level. It's like such an unknown, but I'm like, but why can't, and I'll be the perfect example. It's like, why can't I just access those feelings? Why can't I just like cry? Just like cry on a drop of a hat like I've done 3 times during this podcast. Is it just because you're like, I'm giving you this safe space cocoon to do this and I'm asking you the hard questions? Like, what is, like, should we all just be seeing a therapist and feeling?
Some therapists aren't capable of feeling their feelings either. So typically, the way I think about the system, we have 3 brains. We have the prefrontal cortex, the reptilian, and the mammalian brain. And so the mammalian I would call the emotional part of the brain. Mm-hmm. The prefrontal cortex is the intellectual part of the brain, and the nervous system
focus
part
right?
of the brain is right. Mm-hmm. And the nervous system is reptilian, right? Mm-hmm. And if we had emotional experiences that weren't allowed at young ages, it's a reptilian holding. It's not you can't intellect your way out of it. Unlocking your intellect helps you, but you can't. Breath is a far better way to get to an emotional experience. The other thing that really helps is to know that you're going to be loved unconditionally in the emotional experience, which is what's happening here. Like, I love your emotions. I think they're fantastic. Like, every time I see you have an emotion, I'm like, oh, cool, more freedom for you. This is great. Yeah. Because I learned how to do it with my kids, because of my daughters. That's why I get so emotional when I think about the gift of my daughters, is because I can do this now with all these people.
Because they helped you feel.
Yeah, because they helped me feel, right? And so being in a place where you're loved helps. Breathing, like having specific breath work helps. We have a practice called emotional inquiry, which is like an early access point to it. And then having, like all of our courses have a kind of a ritualized way of having emotions where it's a safe space where there's other people doing it. And it's a lot easier as humans because of our mirror neurons to allow an emotion out when other people are having it. So we literally just had, it was so beautiful, like 50 people experiencing helplessness at the same time. It was amazing. It was amazing. I got like 10 phone calls. I'm walking around a conference now, Joe, and life is totally surreal. My heart is wide open, and everybody at the conference, they're just normal. Like, it's like that kind of thing. And so it's so, yeah, those are some of the things that help, but you've got the best teachers in the world. You've got 3 kids, and you just have to be with them, and they will bring that shit up in you.
Yeah.
Like you will feel it because they're feeling it.
How do you model I understand like the crying piece. Like I kind of just, someone told me, or I saw, or it was an interview or something where they're like, sit on the ground, like get low, like be a safe spot, like be a grounded place. Don't look like you're going to run, you know? Yeah. But like the helplessness, the anger, like anxiety, excitement, like how do you create that container for it, and how long, like, not to be like, how long is it going to last? But I don't want the sadness or the anger, the anxiety to go on forever. But I feel like if I repress it, it doesn't go away.
Right. That's right. So my experience is if you're feeling your emotions to get rid of your emotions, then it doesn't work.
Okay.
You have to feel your emotion. Think about it as if I love my emotional experience, then my emotional experience transforms. If I am trying to get rid of my emotional experience, then that which we resist persists. And we have this thing called the golden algorithm, which is the emotion that we're trying not to feel, we invite in the exact way we're trying not to feel it. So, for instance, anxiety.
Yeah.
This may pertain to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel the anxiety, so I'm going to do all the stuff on my list. But then I've done all the stuff on my list all day, and now I'm feeling really anxious because my nervous system is hyped.
Yeah.
Right? Or I'm going to try not to feel sadness, so I am going to stop my child from having the full emotional experience, which is going to have them more disconnected, which is going to leave me in this kind of low-level sadness all the time. And so the way that we try to push away the emotion is almost always the way that we're inviting that experience back into our world. And so if you can actually love the emotion, I cannot wait to feel anxious.
Yeah.
And you have that experience and you bring it in. And it's very much like working out.
Yeah.
Right? What do you mean lifting 200 pounds is something I can look forward to? It hurts.
Yeah.
Well, you can still look forward to it, as it turns out, or playing tennis or any of those things. And it's the same with the emotional experiences. And there's a ton of science that shows that if we lean into our emotional experiences, it's healthier, but it also prevents us from recreating patterns. So almost always what I see is, let's say you had a girlfriend when you were in your 20s who kept on dating the same guy. He had different driver's license, different names, but it was the same guy.
Yeah.
Like and typically that happens because there's an emotional experience they don't want to feel completely. And as soon as they feel it completely, then that pattern stops. So one of the reasons that I'm really effective as a coach is because people who've been in
years
patterns,
of therapy and patterns their whole life
can undo them really quickly because they're inviting the emotional experience that they're using. It's like the body is trying to get back to homeostasis. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, so as a kid, you weren't allowed to feel this. Mm-hmm. We're going to recreate that experience over and over and over and over again mm-hmm. so that you can keep on having an opportunity to feel this. Mm-hmm. As soon as you feel it, then you don't need to have the experience.
Yeah.
And so my story on that was, when it hit me was, and what allowed me to be married and successfully, is that I just noticed that with my family, I did not grow up in a great situation. Mm-hmm. And I felt very emotionally abandoned. So every time anybody would come close to emotionally abandoning me, mm-hmm. I would do one of two things. First one would be, fine.
Yeah.
And
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Armored up. Well, mm-hmm. then you're going to emotionally abandon me, because who the fuck wants to be with that?
Yeah, right? You're like, I can't break through your fortress.
I'm out. Yeah. And the other one was, needy. Oh, God, get it.
Yeah.
And nobody wants that either. So I would be emotionally abandoned. So by trying not to feel the emotional abandonment, mm-hmm. I would always produce it. And then what happened was I started looking forward to it. Oh, I can't wait, because I know that every time I allow myself to feel that, I'm healing something in me. Mm-hmm. And then emotional abandonment just stopped.
Wow.
And so that was my lesson. Oh yeah, that's what we call the golden algorithm, which is the emotion that we're trying not to feel is we're inviting in the exact way that we try not to feel it.
Do you ever feel like when you start working with people, because they don't know what their issues are?
Always.
Yeah. Because I feel like for a lot of self-help loving people or growth-oriented people, they're looking outside of themselves being like, oh, this person tells me these are the things I need to work on. And you try to like intellectually change everything, who you are, your habits, your morning routine, whatever the thing is. And like, but it's, people want deeper, right? And so maybe they're searching for a quick fix answer, like a journey or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I think like, okay, you're telling me my childhood is informing my adulthood and the patterns I'm creating and what I'm inviting in and continuing to like just pattern and repeat.
Yeah.
I'm almost like, what memories do I have from my childhood? Like, am I like repressing memories? And then I get worried, like, how will I access them and be able to understand what was?
So this is your repressed excitement again. You just got handed like keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And you immediately, instead of going, oh, fuck yeah, I got these kids, I can do this.
Yeah.
You went to, I'm worried that I'll find it.
Yeah.
So it's just repressed excitement. But to answer but to answer your question, it's like a flower unfolding. The more that, so I don't believe in self-improvement. I believe in self-knowledge, self-awareness, self-discovery.
Okay.
And your authentic self is where you're going to be happy, not in your perfect improved self. And so the more you understand yourself, the more is revealed. Mm-hmm. Just like anything, right? I can study physics for endless amount of time and it continually reveals. I'm continually having the experience of understanding myself better over time. And each one of those things is something. Sometimes for many years, it was a whole bunch of memories that I had repressed that came back. But then it just keeps on going. There's no end to it. And it's quite lovely. It's like business that way. There's no end to business. You get to build whatever you want to build, grow whatever you want to grow. It's the same thing. See, now the excitement's there. Now you can feel it. This is good.
Well, because I think every single time someone tells you like, I don't know, like that you could grow or it feels better to get to know yourself and to understand yourself more and to kind of unravel than to build up and grow.
Yeah, I mean, like, how could you stop evolving?
Yeah.
Like if I couldn't stop you from evolving.
Yeah. No, I'm going to keep doing that, but I just want to feel my feelings and be present.
Yeah.
And it feels simpler to me that you're telling me that I have all the answers and that I have all the teachers here in my own little house.
Yes. Yeah.
to help me be like the best version of myself.
Yeah.
It definitely feels the best.
Yeah.
Like nothing feels better, I think, or like more real than when I'm not thinking about other things and I'm just like playing.
Yeah.
And being, and it's really hard practice. Like I think when I get to a state.
So there's the thought pattern. So I talked about the 3 ways of stressed, and you just said it's a hard practice.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
How would being yourself be hard?
That's where I go back to the fear that it's going to go away and I need to be doing something in that very moment that would keep it from going away, but I don't have control over any of that.
How much of that is you being yourself?
I'm distracted from myself. I'm not letting myself be myself.
Yeah. The direct experience of yourself in this moment gets distracted in that anxiety. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we have this
Chris
story.
Is going to love you. He's going to be like, it's not my fault.
Oh, he's not going to love me.
Be like,
I've done these couple retreats where like Tara and I are there and we know half of the couple, but we don't know the other half of the couple. And about like, I don't know, 70% of them walk in just like with, fuck you, Joe Hudson. End of the retreat, they feel better, but they definitely feel like, my life was one way and now it's...
Yeah, I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it. And he's going to be like, just so you know, I don't feel sadness. And I'm going to be like, he thinks he doesn't feel sadness.
Yeah, so even if you want to go there, in your talk of Chris, there's a little bit of a control thing that comes up where you're like, I need to, like, there's a way in which he's a project, like a bit.
Yeah.
And one is that's agreeing with the internal voice in his head that he needs to be improved instead of being who he is.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, Luke, hey, Cass. You guys are still here, right? Oh my God. I mean, I'm sure my makeup's everywhere. I don't really care. I won't watch the tape.
It's not actually. It's pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably do that with everybody.
Yeah. So
with my kids too.
That's right. I'm gonna get to that in a second.
I'm like gonna have full body hives.
And I just want to say that your reaction to that, like, just also shows the authenticity of your love. So I don't want to miss that.
Yeah. Cool. I'm like such an asshole to be married to.
I would say such a human. We all do it.
This is going to be an explicit episode. And you'd be like, can we bleep ourselves out so the kids can listen?
And then the second...
I'm sweating everywhere, Joe.
That happens, yeah.
I've been like hindering him. Oh my God.
Yeah. To feel safe.
I'm like literally picturing him as a little boy. But I'm to cry a lot longer than this episode.
Yeah. If you're lucky.
I'm supposed to like tape solo podcasts after this, and like I love you guys, but like there's no chance in hell. Here, let's do a recipe now. Who wants to make a smoothie? I'm gonna need like grass on my human body for like.
Yeah, I get some sun.
You just be like, babe, can you see if Faith can take the kids?
I would say, hey, babe, can you come and cuddle me for an hour?
Yeah. Whew.
Yeah. The second piece to it is that you're doing that control because every time you're trying to control them, there's a feeling underneath that you don't want to feel. So that behavior of controlling him will go away when you feel the feeling that's underneath it. This is part of that feeling.
Yeah.
Helplessness is probably another.
Yeah. I'm like, what are feelings? What even is helplessness? What does that word mean? It like sounds funny. Helplessness.
Yeah. It's just the feeling that you have. Next time you go, you notice yourself trying to make him a project.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself and feel what has to be felt.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Doesn't matter what I say it is. I am, by the way, just blown away with your bravery. It's lovely.
I think I was allowed to feel feelings when I was little. Like I do remember being picked up from school and I remember my mom crying, and I remember my mom asking me how I was feeling and like letting me feel lonely or left out or not, like not smart enough or like not pretty enough or not cool enough or, all those things.
That's not the bravery I'm talking about. I'm just talking about what I see in you is that you care so deeply about the people who watch this and their freedom and health that you are willing to be the example rather than be the narcissist telling people what's up.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I mostly just want to like be happy.
That's how it works.
Yeah. And not like worry that it's all going to go away.
Yeah, that's how it works is what my experience is, that it just keeps on growing and getting bigger. And I mean, there's ups and downs, bad things happen, but my experience is it just keeps on growing and getting bigger if you have that sense of purpose that is driving you right now, and allow yourself to feel all the, holy crap, this is amazing, this is big, and it's getting bigger, and it could get even bigger if I let it. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think I say, and maybe I'm like self-analyzing right now, but I think I say like, follow your dreams, babe. Like you're going to be a New York Times bestseller before me. Like you're going to, like he's written screenplays and he's written a book, and I'm like, just put it out there. Like everyone's going to love it. Like, don't be afraid, just do it. And like, I'm like, am I selfishly doing that because I'm afraid to do it alone? Or am I like actually like doing it for him because he thinks he has such negative self-talk.
Either way,
I'm just perpetuating his negative self-talk.
Even in the encouragement. Right? Why? Who would you say that? Would you say that to me?
No.
Right. So the fact that you're taking care of him and you're agreeing that he's somewhat of a victim in this situation and that he needs some caretaking is ensuring his position as a victim.
That fucking sucks.
That sucks. Right. How would you talk to him if you knew he was good enough?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right.
You do what you do. It's your life kind of a thing.
Yeah. There's a little bit of armor that just came up there.
Okay.
Like
you do what you do. Rare.
Yeah. So if it was open-hearted?
I just feel like I love you no matter what.
Yeah. Which is what he gave to you, which allowed you to do this.
Do all these amazing things. I couldn't have done it without him.
Yeah. And then the other piece, which I really liked you saying, which is like, would be such a lovely thing to say, is like, you can do whatever you do. And I would love you to put this book out in the world because I don't want to be alone in this. And I feel alone in this.
Yeah.
And you can do what you got to do. Like, I just have to own my want.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm not really like, it's crazy. Make him a project because that's like really hard to be like needy or like.
Right. Self-reliance does that.
You're like needy or like needing. Yeah. I do that. And I realize like, I think I probably do that with my parents now too. Like that
might be the feeling underneath the control.
Like I'm just like, I got it. It's fine. I take care of everybody. I got my sister. I employ my sisters. I got this business. I'm fine. I'm by myself. But like, I do kind of alienate myself, and I don't think I've ever like really asking for help. I don't know if it was like weak or I don't really know.
Disappointing.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's the trap. And when my experience of, obviously I work with a lot of CEOs who have this experience, right?
Okay.
Self-reliance. And one of the things that I notice is they're the hardest people to help. That I fell into this category for a long time as well, which is helping me was really difficult to do. Mm-hmm. One, because I looked like I had it all together. Mm-hmm. Two is, I would make sure like, oh, was this right? Was it done correctly? So I wouldn't let people make their mistakes. And so that also made it harder to help me. I needed a certain level of control that made it harder to help me. There's all sorts of things that I did to prevent that feeling. And for me, there was a lot of helplessness that needed to be felt. And neediness, like that whole kit and caboodle of emotion. Yeah.
Super, Joe.
Super, right? And one day in your future, you'll be like, oh, I feel needy. This is great.
Who can I call? Yeah, I'm like, it's just cultural, Joe. We all feel these feelings.
That's true. That's also true, yeah.
Yeah.
Or we all just don't feel these feelings.
Yeah, we all don't feel these feelings, and we just kind of like try to trudge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I've cried a lot today. It's the best I've felt in a long time.
You look great.
Yeah.
My daughters will watch this and they will ask you how the hell you didn't have mascara all over the place.
I don't know. We'll have to call Christy and be like, did you put that toxic or waterproof stuff on my face again? Don't tell anyone.
My daughter's trick is that they cry like
yeah,
this.
You look up
so that they come
so
down
it drips to the side. Yeah, for sure. That's a good move.
I was watching one, but I found this song. One of my favorite ways of connecting with my daughters as teenagers is to find music, and they send me music, and I also send sunsets. So this is one of the ways that we connect. And I found a song about sisters who were 3 years apart. My daughters are 3 years apart. One of them moving out. One of my daughters just moved out. And the song from the older to the younger. Oh. And so it's this. The song's called Marigolds. It's amazing. Okay. And so I shared it with both of them while I went and visited one and shared it, and I just like
blubbery mess. Yeah.
Like, first verse, both of them were crying through the song.
It's amazing, like how music does that. What is it about? Is it just like drowning out our own sounds? And like, sometimes I feel like I need to go back to listening to music. I'm like listening to podcasts and self-helping myself and adding to my to-do list.
I stopped listening to music from like when the kids were 2 until 13. And then when they started listening to it again, when they started getting, teenage music stuff, I was like, oh, let's go.
They're like, here's an emo song for you, Dad. You ready to feel all your feels?
Exactly. They like Americana. Our overlap is Americana. I can't do the pop.
Yeah.
I can do a little rap, but mostly Americana.
Okay. We'll have to get your playlist.
Yeah.
Put it in the show notes.
It's pretty good.
Oh, what an emotional roller coaster this morning has been for me.
Yeah. What a pleasure to be with you in it.
Honestly, like probably, mostly just like helped my marriage, like big time, like more than anyone. Thank you.
You're so welcome. What a pleasure.
How do I pay you all the money and come on the retreat?
You're invited to the retreat. We'll get you in. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We didn't even like go into your background or anything.
No, this is
Everyone pretty much saw what you do. Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I don't think giving you a smoothie was enough.
I bet definitely enough. Definitely enough. See, even this self-reliance, you can just accept.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Total pleasure.
Really means a lot. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Be Well by Kelly LeVeque podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review in your favorite podcast app and subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. We're also excited to share that full-length video episodes are now on YouTube and Spotify, so you can watch along as you listen. The best way to support me and the show is by sharing it with your friends and family. Your recommendations make all the difference. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and Cass Falding. The video is recorded by Luke Rodriguez and edited by Jesse Trout. Sound mixing is by Mike Fry. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical or mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or healthcare team first.